Hello! In today's video, I'm going to be sewing... Actually, I need a haircut. Just a second. Okay, much better. So, in this video, I'm going to be making a constellation cape. What is a constellation cape, you might ask? Basically, the idea is I want to go to a fancy event and wear something sparkly, but if I get bored, I want to be able to practice learning constellations by just looking at my cape. You know? Also, disclaimer, I'm not like an astronomy person or astrology person. I just think the stars are pretty. So I'm not going to be getting the stars exactly perfect or anything. I just thought this would be fun. I drew out a design and plan for the cape. This is kind of inspired by cool Pinterest fantasy dresses, but not a direct recreation of anything. First, I made a pattern for the cape by draping it. I recommend draping with a cheap fabric, no matter how easy you think it will be. Learn from my mistakes, kids. Anyway, I draped the front and back to make a cape top thing, and then also draped the collar, which I'm pretty proud of. Then I used the draped pattern to cut out my fabric. So I was almost done editing this video, and then I see some text from people that you can see the northern lights outside. And I've never seen the northern lights, and I literally go outside and look up, and there's pink and green in the sky. It was so exciting, and phone cameras make it look even more bright. Anyway, back to the sewing. I also cut the collar pieces out of interfacing so the collar would be stiffer. I ironed the interfacing on. Then I planned how to make the cape part. This fabric is chiffon I got online. I originally was going to use it to make a star cape for my prom dress, but the dress turned out more cotton candy rather than sunset colored, so I didn't feel like the cape would match. Also, I ran out of time. I wanted to use as much of the fabric as possible. I kept the top rectangular and pinned it so the corners kind of draped down in a cool way. Then I rounded the bottom so it would look like a cool train thing. And that was it. Then I hemmed the cape. I wish it had turned out less puckery, but oh well. I used a lettuce hem on my Liesel dress, which made it not puckery at all, but I felt like a frilly hem would look weird on this cape, so I didn't use that. I sewed the pieces of the cape together and sewed the collar on. Then I sewed the lining to the outer fabric at the top of the collar. Then I sewed the chiffon cape to the top cape part, making sure it was centered. Then I sewed the lining to the outer fabric the rest of the way, which meant enclosing all the chiffon in this tube. It was very confusing, but turned out okay. I wanted all the seams to be enclosed, which was a good call because this fabric is so incredibly frayy. I left part unsewed so I could turn it inside out. Due to me being bad at cutting things out and my dress form being a different shape than me, the cape doesn't fit me great. I feel like the lining fits me better, but then the outer fabric puffs out bigger. But again, if I took the lining out, it would be a fraytastic nightmare. So if I do this again, I'll just figure something else out. Next, I procrastinated adding stars by making a dress to go along with the cape because nothing really goes along with it, and I wanted to wear these giant gold heels I got at a thrift store and make it kind of a red carpet look. Or this could also be a homecoming dress. So I scrounged together the biggest pieces of the fabric I could find to make the back and made the front using a long piece of stretchy blue fabric I got from my grandma. I kind of followed a Makara Tours homecoming dress tutorial to make the dress ruched, basically making the elastic the length I want the dress and stretching it as I sew it to the fabric. Since this is a stretchy fabric, I didn't have to add a zipper, which was great. I sewed the sides together and hemmed the top and bottom. I wanted to be able to wear the dress on its own without the cape, so I cut rectangles off the bottom and made them into sleeves and hemmed those. I don't usually like square necklines, but I guess if the fabric is nice and stretchy, I do like them. I made this dress in a day, and it has already been falling apart. Quality over quantity works for me better. Now it was time to add the stars. I've had these crystals and fabric glue for over a year now. I took it all the way to college, never used them, and now I'm back home and still haven't used them, but now I can finally try them out. Okay, so we have a problem. I started putting crystals on in kind of the general pattern that I was planning on. Then I realized there wouldn't be enough sparkles because these crystals I have are really tiny, so I was like, I want more sparkles, so I might as well just do the whole night sky, not just a couple constellations. So I looked up a picture of the full night sky. It's so complicated. I may have bitten off more than I can chew. I wanted to do all the sparkles tonight. Okay, maybe I'll use this one instead. Let's go with that. I used that map. I'll put it in the description. I realized that if I wanted to be efficient, I should mark the stars with chalk and then later glue on the crystals where all the chalk spots are. Because the process was so long, I don't really remember where any of the constellations are, and the crystals are so tiny, it's like the actual night sky. There's so many stars, you can't find the constellations. So I guess that's a success. Let me know if you can find any of the constellation. I'm pretty sure Orion is at the bottom. This fabric glue and crystal thing really worked. The crystals didn't fall off. I used a pin to make really small dots of glue and used the same pin to pick up the crystals because they were so tiny. I'll keep this in mind for future princess dresses. It takes a long time though, so I have to hold back from sparklifying all of them. This has been an idea I've had for a long time, so I'm glad I got to create it. Subscribe if you are interested in further sewing adventures, and thanks for watching!